Hey everyone, it's Aja, and I'm just coming on here today to show you what I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. And I wanted to let you know that I put together something for everyone out there who is trying to enter the military, specifically for the Air Force right now, but I'm working on the other branches. But I put together something for everyone who's been asking me questions or who's asking any other person who's already in the Air Force or the military in general about what's going to happen in basic training, or what they need to study, or how should you get physically fit for basic training, because those are like the bulk of the questions that I always get. And so I decided one day at work to just put something together to help people who had these types of questions. So I'm going to give you a little backstory, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So a couple of weeks ago, I want to say maybe about 5-6 weeks ago, I was getting a lot of questions from a couple of individuals about what should I study for basic training and how can I get in shape for basic training. Like basically, how do I need to run? How much do I need to run? How can I improve my push-ups and things like that? And I generally have answers for that. I just tell them to do what I did for the running, is basically train to run a 5K, because that's what you're running every day in basic training anyway. And then for push-ups, I always recommend the 100 push-up program. And for sit-ups, I always recommend the 200 sit-ups program, because that's what I did when I went to basic training, and I've always gotten excellent on my PT test. But there's another part of this. There's more than just being physically fit. There's also the memory work. And I remember just being so tired, so stressed, so hungry, just so busy. Memory work was not really a priority for me in basic training. And the good thing about the way I studied before I went to basic training was that I did the memory work. And that kind of eliminates one of the boulders that you're going to have on your shoulder when you're going to basic training, because you have to learn how to properly march, you have to learn how to properly address people, you have to learn how to properly do your uniform. You have so many other things to be concerned about. I think the best thing that a person can do to prepare for basic training is to get a lot of things that they can get out of the way. Just prepare as much as you can for basic training, and then it will make your life that much easier for when you go. So again, I was getting a lot of the questions about what should I study, how can I work out, what can I do to get better so I have an easier time at basic training. And so I just sat down at work one day and I pumped out all these questions, and I wrote down every question I could remember being asked in basic training. And remember, I went 5 years ago, so this is a little difficult, but I managed to get about 60 questions out. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to pair each one of these questions up with a bodyweight exercise so that people can then kind of study and work out at the same time. Because when I studied for basic training at my old job, before I left for the Air Force, I studied by myself, and I didn't have anybody really to help me. I had a friend who was going into the Navy, but she had a whole different list of things to learn than I did. So, of course, I basically studied by myself for about 95% of the time, except for when I went to a DEP meeting. So I paired up a question from memory work with a bodyweight exercise, so you could kind of get, two birds, one stone. And then I kind of started writing some rules because I wanted to test it out. I kind of wanted to make it a game. I wanted to make it fun, because who wants to learn memory work on a piece of paper? It's just boring, right? So I wanted to make it a game. I wanted to somehow make it engaging. I wanted to make it somehow memorable. And so I designed this game at work. I was at work, I did the bodyweight exercises, I did the questions, I ran over it with my coworkers, and then I was telling the class, you have to take something called TAPS when you transition out of the Air Force. I was telling my classmates about what I was doing, and there was a former MTI in the class, and he said, you know what, it sounds like a really good idea. I actually go to DEP meetings and I help them study and I help them get ready for basic training. Why don't you bring over what you're talking about and we can test it out? And I did that yesterday, and I have footage for that will be at the end of the video. You'll get the general idea. So I'm going to show you here what I made. I had these manufactured in, I believe, Wisconsin, and then I just got them in the mail the other day. So we're going to go through them. So here we have what I'm talking about. So I created something called high-speed training cards. And high speed is a phrase that is used in the military for a person who's basically a go-getter, a person who's on top of their job, a person who doesn't really need to be having their hand held all the time, a person who is just spectacular. So I called it high speed training cards because I felt like if you're willing to prepare before you go to basic training, you're on the path at least to be high speed. So this is what they look like when they come through the mail, and I opened one. So I had the box designed by someone from my hometown. You see, you got the military aircraft on the front, as well as with the name of the game. And I also had the branch put on, and as I do different branches, there'll be different names on the front, like Navy, Army, so on and so forth. And then this is what the back looks like. It's just a little bit of copy. I won't read that to you. I won't bore you with that. So this is the box. That's the box wrapped up direct from the manufacturer. And then, so I made it so the cards made sense. They are very similar to what you would learn in basic training. And then here is a rule book there. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to explain what's happening here. You have 4 categories of cards. You have chain of command here, basic military knowledge, Air Force heritage, and you have rank recognition. So there are 19 rank recognition cards. There are 9 Air Force heritage cards. There are 13 basic military knowledge cards, and there are 9 chain of command cards. Now, obviously, rank recognition is the biggest deck because there are 19 ranks that you need to know when you are going through the Air Force, and these are the things that you encounter every single day. You see rank every day when you're in the Air Force, so that's something that you obviously need to know. So I'm just going to give you an anatomy of a card. We have the category up here, and each card is color-coded, so red, yellow, green, and blue. Each card is color-coded, and then you have the question. So, for example, what is the pay grade, abbreviation, and rank insignia of a senior airman? And you have the exercise, and then you have the answer here. So each of the card looks the same. They're just based on the category what the question would be, right? So the general idea here is that this can be a 2-person or 2-team game. You and I would be playing this game, and you would get the question. You would pull it from a stack of these cards that you would put face down on the table, on the ground, if you're outside, wherever in between you and whoever is playing with you. You will pull the card from the deck and you read to the person, what is the pay grade, abbreviation, and rank insignia of a senior airman, right? And then they would answer. If they got the answer correct, then you in turn would have to do the lunges on the card. And then you would hand them the card. They would get to keep the card. This is how you keep track of who wins the game. Now, there are no reps on the card. There is no time on the card. And that's because I didn't want to be restrictive of how people play the game. I don't know how many push-ups a person can do. You may just be able to do 2. So if you want to pick 5 so to challenge yourself, then what good would it do for me to put 20 on the cards if you know you already can't do 20? So you get to pick how many reps you want to do for these cards. And you also get to pick your time because some of them are like duck walk. Some of them are like bear crawl. So they're not really reps as much as they're a distance or a time for those. So you pick the reps you want to do before you start the game. Say you want to do 5, you want to do 20, whatever the exercises may be. You want to do 15 seconds for an exercise, however, you pick that yourself. And then as you get stronger and as you learn more, you up those reps and you up the time to make it more challenging and to make sure that you're actually getting the knowledge, right? So the more questions you get, the less exercise you have to do. So again, you pick a card, say that person who you asked got it correct, you give them the card, you do the exercises. Then you would switch. They would pick a card. This one's chain of command. Chain of command question, who is Secretary of the Air Force? Now I want you to notice that the chain of command questions are all fill in the blank. And that is because that chain of command switches a lot. For example, when I was in basic training, the Secretary of Defense actually changed in the middle of basic training. And then all the MTIs had to come through and tell us, hey, Secretary of Defense is different. It's not Leon Panetta anymore. Okay, so we all had to scratch that out and we had to remember a new person. So to avoid having to constantly print different cards you can just fill in the blank. And the website that I have that accompanies these cards actually has the chain of command on it, so you don't have to look too far. I already gave you the answer. Say you pulled this question, who is Secretary of the Air Force? If I got this question wrong, then I would have to do the exercises on this card. Now the exercises are diamond push-ups, and say that you chose the reps to be 10, I have to do 10 diamond push-ups. Let's say I got this question correct, then I would get to keep this card and you would have to do the reps. If I got the question wrong, then I would give you this card and I would have to do the reps. That's basically how it goes. So there are suggested methods of how to play in the booklet. In the booklet here that comes with it, it has all the information you need. You know, it has the game rules and details. It has why there are no exercises specifically like demonstrations on the card. It has your chain of command references. It has the Air Force song, because that is a question on here. It has the Airman's Creed, the phonetic alphabet. It also has this address card. And this is similar to something that I gave my mother before I left. And what you do, you just rip this out. And I'm not gonna rip it out, but you can rip this out and give it to whomever you're gonna call before you leave for basic training, and they can just fill out the card. So they don't have to write down all this extra stuff. They can just fill in the blanks. I thought that would be a little easier. And these questions all came out of the BMT, the pre-study guide that recruiters give people. These questions all have been verified through the Air Force military website. I went on there and I double checked and triple checked. All the questions make sense and all the questions are right. So I did this to help everybody. But I wanted to share this with you guys because this is something that I made for you. This is something that I hope is going to be helpful. This is something that I hope that will be able to spread throughout the Air Force and throughout the subsequent branches when I get done. This is something that I think is going to be able to assist everybody who's going into basic training. So with that, these cards have a website, and I'm going to put that below. And I'm also going to give everybody who watches this video a code, because right now I'm selling these things. I got to be able to continue to make these, so I have to sell them. So I'm going to give you all a coupon code, and it's going to be also at the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to let you save a little bit of money on it because you're nice enough to watch my video, and hopefully you share it, you like it, and you get the word out, because this is actually a really, really good study guide, I believe. And we're going to save you a little bit of money, and hopefully this helps you. And if you have any questions about anything, as always, you can ask me. I'm still answering questions even though I'm not in anymore. You can ask me whatever, and of course I'll be around. I answer all these questions all the time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I know it's been a little bit long, but I'll talk to you guys later, and have a good day. Peace.
It's nice and smooth, nice and smooth. Don't feel you have to rush it. It's going to be about face. I should see the white of your hand.
Who is the Secretary of the Air Force?
I'm wrong, sir. The Secretary of the Air Force is General Mark A.
So the Secretary of the Air Force. Stop. Nope. Come on, Giggles McGee. How do we get? So you already know it's wrong.
We can't even get past the small things to get going here. And once again, you do know better because you've been here longer.
I'm not dating, you're dating.
Sorry.
Again, yes, I know. I'm trying to figure out how the reporting statement.
Question. You remember what
You
it
know
was?
what?
Yes,
I
sir.
bet you got an email
Sir,
that
the
talks
Chief
about all
Master
this stuff.
Sergeant of the
Let me
Air
show
Force
all
is
that. You probably
Chief Master
got here, one
Sergeant
of the
James
very
A.
first
Cole.
things. Not only your peers, but everybody told you it was key.